Hi, I'm Kirsten. Welcome to Real World Science. Electricity is an important part of our life. The electricity provides the energy to run lights, telephones, computers, and motors. We use electricity every day, but did you ever wonder, what is electricity? And where does it come from? Let's find out. Intro to electricity. To begin with, electricity is a kind of energy that has been around since the beginning of the universe. Even before there was life on our planet, electricity existed in nature in the form of lightning. Electricity even exists inside our body. If you could look inside our bodies, you would see tiny electrical signals zip around, triggering our hearts to beat and our muscles to move. These signals send echoes through the body tissues to the skin.
We've talked about those neurons before.
Signals from the heart can be detected by sensors and displayed as a wavy line called an electrocardiogram. Little electrical pulses in our brain even give us our ability to think. All life depends on electricity.
All right, so we're talking about electricity today. We've talked about different types of energy, and now we're going to see how electricity and energy connect. When you think of electricity, you probably think of things it can do. Electricity lights your house and runs your computer. Anything you plug into an electrical socket uses electricity. But did you know that electricity also is found in nature? If you've ever been in a lightning storm, you've seen electricity in nature. Lightning can be very spectacular, but also very dangerous. You never want to risk being struck by lightning. This is because electricity is a form of energy, and a lightning bolt has enough energy to seriously injure or hurt somebody or kill a person. So electricity is a form of energy. That's what we know now. All matter is made of tiny particles called atoms. As tiny as they are, atoms are made up of even tinier particles. One of the particles that makes up an atom is called an electron. So atoms are literally every single thing, guys. Atoms are in the air. Atoms make up a coffee mug. Atoms make up your desk. They make up your hair. They make up every single thing. And inside an atom is an even tinier particle called an electron. Electrons have a negative electrical charge. Other particles have a positive electrical charge, and some have no charge. Electricity is the movement of electrons from one place to another. That's really important. We need to take note of that. Electricity is the movement of electrons from one place to another. When lightning strikes, large numbers of charged particles move suddenly between clouds, or between a cloud and the ground. While it's easy to see lightning, it's not possible to see most electricity. We cannot see the electricity that travels through our bodies or the electricity that does work in our homes. So atoms are the very, very smallest thing. If you look out into the yard, there's air out there which is made up of atoms, but you can't see those atoms because they're so small. They're so small that they're invisible for humans. So then if you think about those atoms being that small and then broken up into electrons, protons, and neutrons, those electrons are even smaller, so you can't see them. So when electrons move through a wire or through the air, it's called electricity. But those electrons moving through different items or objects are invisible, so you can't see electricity. But when we have lightning, it's a lot of charged particles, so you can see it. How are static electricity and current electricity different? So remember, electricity is when electrons move through something. That's what electricity is. But there are two types of electricity. There's static electricity and current electricity. Charged particles are all around us. Have you ever walked across a carpet with no shoes on and received a shock when you touched a doorknob? Or your teacher? You guys are always shocking me when we hug. If so, you have felt static electricity. Static electricity is a buildup of electrical charge. It often occurs when objects rub against each other, such as your hair rubbing against a wool hat when you take it off. Static electricity is a type of electricity that can jump through the air between objects. You can't see it, but you can feel it when conditions are right. So it says you can't see it, but I know that there are times that you can see it. So tonight when you go to bed, I want you to lay under your covers where it's really dark, and I want you to get a fleece blanket or a hat or something like that. If you rub it together and then yank it apart so that it's straight, you'll see the electrons jump, and it'll kind of look like little lightning bolts in your under your covers in the dark. So you can see static electricity, but you'll have to make sure that it's very dark and you have to follow the right conditions. So it says that you could rub your head against a wool hat, but you're not going to be able to see that if it's on your head. But you can do the same thing with blankets. Rub them together, and then when you pull them tight, you're going to see it, and you'll probably hear a clicking sound. Another type of electricity is current electricity. Electrical wires contain huge numbers of electrons flowing from one place to another in a steady stream. This flow of electrons is called an electric current. Electric current is the electricity that is so useful in our everyday lives. To create the electricity we use for power, electrons must flow through a conductor and flow in a closed circuit. A conductor is a material that conducts electricity. Most metals conduct electricity. Other materials, such as rubber or plastic, do not conduct electricity well or even at all. They're called insulators. This is why the electrical wires in your house or attached appliances are composed of metal wires that are covered in rubber. So if you think about your phone charger, the charger isn't just a wire, it has rubber around the outside. That's because the rubber is an insulator that stops the electricity from getting on your fingers, and it just goes through the wires. So we have two different types of electricity here. We have static electricity, which is when there's a buildup of an electrical charge, and so the electrons have to jump through the air to go back to their correct atom or to an atom that needs an electron. So when the electrons are jumping, that's static electricity. A current electricity is when the electrons flow through a wire. So that makes, that would be like any charger or cords or wires that you're used to seeing. Tomorrow we're going to talk more about conductors and insulators. A closed circuit is simply a complete loop. The closed loop allows the charged particles to flow back to their source after they've passed through a light, a buzzer, or an electrical device. Electrical circuits in a house are made from electrical wires that form one or more loops. People use switches to control the flow of electricity. For example, if the switch is closed, electrons can flow and the lights are on. If the switch is open, the loop is broken. Electrons can't flow and the lights turn off. So we're going to talk more about electrical circuits in a couple days. Actually, I think we're going to do that next Monday. So this will make more sense next Monday. But for the very basic that you need to know, it needs to be a circle. The electrons have to be able to flow through a battery or your electrical, the outlet, so that you have some sort of power. So you have to have power to let the electrons flow. They have to go through the wires, and then you have to have a way of knowing that it's working. So you have to have a light or a sound, and then it goes through that, and then it has to go on the wires on the other side back into the battery. So it has to make a complete circle. That's called a closed loop. So it has to be a complete circle for an electrical circuit to work. All right, the very last thing we're going to look at today is electrical transformations. So we've been talking about energy transfers. So we know that electricity is a form of energy. So if we know that all energies can transfer to different types of energies, then we know that electricity can transfer to different types of energies too, because it is an energy. So here we have a cell phone. I'll read this to you. A cell phone is an example of a system where electrical energy is transformed into other forms of energy. The image shows a flow chart of the energy within a cell phone system. Fill in the missing labels to show the energy type used in that part of the system. So when we're thinking about our phone, mobile phone right here, we have different types of energy that have to go into it. You can't just start using your phone. So we start all the way back here at the battery. So the battery is a chemical energy, because remember, batteries actually just have chemicals stored in them, and that's how it produces energy. So the chemical energy then turns into what? Before it goes into the phone. Do we just have random sounds going off when the battery is charging the phone? No. Does the battery create lights? No. Does it create motion? No, it doesn't. It creates electricity. So the battery, the chemicals inside, are creating electrical energy. Once we have that electrical energy and it goes into the phone, what two things are coming out of your phone when you're using it? Yep, sound is one, because you have to be able to hear people talking to you on your phone. And then we think about when we look at our phone, what else do we see? Do we see movement or do we see lights showing? Yep, we see lights. The phone doesn't start moving and running around. It doesn't grow legs. So there's no motion when it comes to a mobile phone. Even though you see videos on your phone that are moving, you actually are just seeing the lights moving around. You're not actually seeing the phone move. So it's not motion energy. So let's check our work. Very good. All right, tomorrow we are going to be talking a little bit more about conductors and insulators. So you're going to have a video and a short quiz to follow along with. It's very easy. It'll be very fast. All right, good work today, guys. I will talk to you tomorrow.